I know I'm early, as usual. Last time I was late, but I'm a couple minutes early. So we'll just give her a minute here to get a few people to come on.
See that? See that?
How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody's doing good. Wyatt, how is it going, my man? I am doing fantastic. And so is the fam jam. Everybody is healthy and well. Nobody's got that kung flu, whatever that Chinese virus or disease or whatever it is that's going around. Good to hear. Good to hear. Oh, it's been pretty busy lately. Hence why I haven't been on here much. I wanted to do a live stream earlier in the week, but like I said, things got busy. So, yeah, but trying to make time there tonight. I don't know how long we'll be able to last, but we'll try and stay on here a while anyway. How's everybody doing trapping wise? Everybody catching some critters? If you guys don't mind, hit that thumbs up button when you guys come in. Much appreciated. You hit the thumbs up button, she kind of gets the word out there that we're out here and we're doing something. I can't believe the weather that we've been getting here. It's honestly, it's just unbelievable. Jess and I were looking at the 2-week forecast for the weather there. Coldest night in the next 2 weeks is -11. Like, that's ridiculous. -11 is what we should be getting in like April. So I don't even know. I don't even know. So that's going to put us through first 2 weeks, halfway through February pretty much, and -11. Unbelievable. I don't know. January was a beautiful month. We figured, well, maybe February will come and winter will actually come to see us, but yeah, it didn't, or it's not looking like it anyway. I mean, that could change. They can't predict tomorrow's weather. Yeah. Yeah, I forget what it's supposed to be here tomorrow, but yeah, and not even really any snow, which is crazy because usually when you have these, this warm of a winter, usually you get hit with a lot of snow. But I mean, we just been lucky overall. Jess was wondering what kind of weather we were supposed to be getting because in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, she's supposed to be her goats are supposed to be kidding, which is having babies. So, yeah. So she's just wondering if we still got a little bit of work to do in the barn, in our what we call our little milk room. It's where our water comes in and where her milking stand is. Anyway, we made that an insulated room, and that way we can have heat on in there if needed. if we ever have goats or calves born when it's cold or need to be warmed up. But there's still one more little cubby area that needs to be finished up. So anyway, yeah. So I guess, did I talk to you guys? Did I tell you guys that I got the Bobcat? Did I do that on live stream last time? I think I did. Yeah. How's it going, Barry? That's all right. Stay as long as you can. Things are going great here. We're just getting started. Just talking about the weather more or less. But yeah. So anyway, I can't remember. I think I did talk about the Bobcat there in the last live chat, but yeah, I was pretty pumped to get that cat in that trap. So that worked out pretty good. Raccoon season is, well, today was the last day actually for raccoon season. So I actually pulled out, well, not that I only had one raccoon set out. After I caught the one bobcat there over at Dale's place, and I pulled that one. And I had one more out where we pasture our cattle up by the pond. Actually, where I caught the raccoon in the haymount set. I ended up taking that haymount set and moving it about 30 yards to the east, and where I had caught that raccoon, I put in a little cubby box for raccoon. But yeah. But then it turned colder. It went back to freezing at night, so the raccoons stayed in bed. They stopped moving around. Wow. No snow. That's crazy. Well, we were doing some work up on the mountain, and we had to shovel some of the snow, and you get down to the ground and it's actually still thawed in places that haven't been disturbed, which I mean is just unheard of for this time of year. There should be, a couple feet of frost down there, and there's nothing. So yeah. So if you guys have been following my videos, 2 videos ago, I went out with the fam and we picked up coyote number 25. 25. Did we get 27 then at Phil's?
Was that not before?
No. 25. I think it was 25. Anyway, picked that up back here. Near our pond back here anyway. Got it in a snare. It was dead when we got there, which is good. I haven't had too many of these or too many of those this year. But anyway, it was good to pick that one up. Nice. It was actually a really nice dog. And then we kept going and we were checking the footholds and we ended up picking up that nice big female raccoon. She was huge. Tip of her tail pretty near reached the end of this stretching board. I did measure her pelt. But yeah, she was a big one for around here, that's for sure. But man, you never realize how much you hate doing raccoons until you get one, and then you're like, oh yeah, I hate doing these. They're so greasy. I don't know. You could do 10 coyotes for every raccoon for the amount of grease that you end up with. But
What's the last coyote you did with that?
yeah, exactly. Coyote number 26 that I got back in my brother's place. It was, I'm gonna say it was probably my best coyote this season, fur wise. It had a really clear belly and just really nice fur on the back. It was really nice, thick, nice long guard hairs. Yeah, just an overall really nice dog, and stretched over an extra large. So I don't know if it would make a 2X or not, but anyway, nice dog. And actually, that coyote was dead too. And actually, while we're on that subject, for raccoon, I think it goes up to 3XL, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm thinking the one I got out there is probably around a 2X. Anyway, that coyote that I picked up back in my brother's place, it was literally, we got it in a snare that I pretty much had kind of written off, because when I had set that snare, there was like 3-4 inch balsam that had been laid down by another big tree, and there's only maybe at the time maybe 12 to 14 inches underneath that balsam, and the coyotes were slipping underneath it coming into my bait. It was only about maybe, I don't know, 25-30 yards behind my bait, and they were coming through the thick stuff. There's a bunch of blowdowns in that, and they were sneaking under that. So I hung a snare there, and of course, as winter progressed, we ended up getting a little more snow, and actually about a week, not quite, prior to catching it there, I went and I had to go over and raise the snare, which I don't really like doing. Once I set a snare, I like being able to just leave it. The less disturbance around that area, the better. But anyway, about a week ago, I had to go over and readjust it. The bottom of the loop had actually, the snow had built up to it. So there was only like, maybe 8 inches underneath the balsam. So I adjusted it and I kind of split the difference. So I had maybe 4 inches underneath the snare, 4 inches of snare underneath the balsam. And pretty much I thought, well, if anything comes through here, they're going to just step over that balsam. They're not going to try and get underneath that 8 inches. But anyway, needless to say, that stupid coyote tried to go underneath it and ended up getting caught. And then, of course, he got flipping around the deadfall there and ended up more or less hanging himself, which worked out good. But yeah, so that was a bit of an interesting set. But that's what I was saying to Dad. I thought for sure that out of all the snares I have set right now, that was right up there with one of my worst ones. So you just never know, eh? And it had been set for not all season, but probably, I don't know, mid to late December anyway. So it's been set for at least a month. But yeah, you just never know what sets are going to pay off and which ones are going to be dead all season. But anyway. Anybody else out there catching anything? Coyotes, coons, mink? I went for a little ride on the snow machine out in our pasture, and I was playing down around the creek there with the snow machine, and the creek isn't froze over at all. I think it only froze over 1 or 2 nights so far this winter, which again is unbelievable. It should be froze over for 3-4 months of the year. But anyway, I noticed that like I said, that it's not froze over, and that got me thinking. I found this one spot where the creek is fairly shallow, so I think I might go in and just wade in there and try and set some colony traps for muskrats. I don't. In our creek, you never really see where the muskrats come up on the ice or on the banks. I don't know where the heck they eat, but um, I've definitely caught quite a few muskrats out of our creek, and you don't really see a whole lot of sign of them, but they're in there. So I was thinking I'd go and put in maybe a couple bottom edge sets, the colony traps, and just try and get a few of the winter rats. Take advantage of this of the lack of ice and cold weather. But wow, that's uh, that's not a ton of ice, for this time of year, really. I was watching your fishing videos. I'm not a fisherman really by any means. Like I said earlier, I enjoy going and spearing rainbow there in the spring, but other than that, I'm not a big fisherman really. I don't mind fishing for rainbow actually off the riverbanks too, but to go and troll and and ice fish actually, um, I don't know. I don't have the patience for it, but um, I was watching Wyatt's Tubby Guy Outdoors. He's got some ice fishing videos, and they're pretty good. Seems like you guys have a lot of fun out there. Actually, I ran into a guy last night, um, and we got talking about trapping and that. And actually, I'll give you kind of two stories about last night. One was I'd called the local butcher shop yesterday just to see what they do with their scraps and that. I'm so desperate for bait, so I thought, I don't know, maybe they just get rid of it. But turns out that they charge $15 for 50 pounds. So um, I don't know. To some of you guys, it might sound like a lot of bait, but 50 pounds does not go very far, and $15 adds up pretty quick. So um, yeah. So I don't know, how many pounds I would have to buy, but anyway, needless to say, I wasn't overly interested in paying $15 for 50 pounds. Plus, I'd have to drive, 20 minutes or whatever there and back. Well, sorry, 20 minutes there, just to get the bait. So, um, yeah. So I ended up not getting it. But anyway, I was talking with this other guy, and he ended up picking some bait up from there a couple of days prior to. Um, and he was saying what he does with it because he said, mostly fat. Um, he said what he does is he digs a hole and puts the contents, the bait down in the hole, and then he buries it, and drive over it or whatever with a snow machine and pack it down, and then they got to really work for it. It freezes down in there. So the birds and the coyotes can't just pick it up, because especially with small scraps like that, you get that stuff just out in a bait pile, and I mean, coyotes and ravens, it'd be gone, 12 hours one day, and that 50 pounds would be gone. So that's how he makes it last. So um, anyway, but yeah. Um, but anyway, we got talking, going back to Wyatt and his fishing videos. We got I should say he got talking about ice fishing, and last year he was saying that he got a ticket from the M&R. He was out ice fishing, him and his buddy, and they caught I forget, was it 50 perch or something like that. They were well within their limit, whatever it was, and it was perch. So they had picked up all these perch, and in the meantime, he had drilled, a bunch of little holes to make kind of a live well. And what he was doing there was the ones that come up and lose their whatever, that little air bubble that comes out. I don't know if it's a lung or what, but if any of them had any issues and he didn't want to keep them, he'd put them in this live well to make sure that they were gonna survive. And then oh, all right, we'll see you in a little bit. But so anyway, he'd let them swim around in the little live well. Well, he ended up catching a little pickerel, and the pickerel season had closed the day before. So he said it was only, I don't know, 8-10 inches long. It wasn't a pickerel that he would keep anyway, but when he reeled it up, it had lost that air bubble. So he took and he put it in his live well. So anyway, the M&R comes by and sees that he's got this pickerel, and so he says, well, what are you doing there? So he explained to him, and the M&R goes, yeah, I totally understand, no problem. So he leaves. So then they're heading off the ice, and M&R comes flying up beside them there on the snow machine, and says, I want to see your fish again. So he dumps them all out and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, what are we going to do about this pickerel walleye? Guy's like, well, what do you mean? We already talked about it. He said, I'm not going to waste it. It's dead. What am I supposed to do with it? If I throw it down the hole and it floats back up, or if I throw it, on the ice and you guys find it, you guys are still it's horrible, man. It's one of those things where it's a lose-lose, right? So he ended up keeping it, and so he goes, well, what are we going to do? The guy said, well, nothing I can do. I'm not going to waste it. So he ends up writing him a ticket, charging him $400 and some bucks, because he charged him with two things. One, and over your limit, because he had one walleye over his limit, even though there was no limit and it was out of season. It was kind of, like he said, it was a stupid charge. He even went and fought it, but he lost. And anyway, moral of the story is, you just don't want to deal with those guys. It's unfortunate just the way they're out there to just ruin your day. But I know they'd say the opposite, but it's not. Oh yeah, Dad and I hooked up our welder there today in the garage. Picked up a nice little Lincoln 180. So we wired that in, got that all done. Hooked up, tried her out, welded up a couple little test pieces there. Smashed the, I welded up a couple pieces of 3/8 plate. Smashed it with the hammer. Weld didn't break, but the metal was starting to bend, so that was a good sign. So, looking forward to being able to play around with that. Dad's got this old wood stove that he makes his syrup on, so it's in need of repair. So he's going to bring it over, and we're going to get that fixed up. But yeah, just a little side note. One of the big things I wanted to talk about tonight was any of you guys out there running for your snares the Seneca kill springs? I'm kind of interested. I might pick up some there for next year. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I see that Fur Harvester sells them $17 for a dozen. of the kill springs themselves, and then $7 for a dozen of the little triggers. And both items are obvious. It's not just a one-time thing. So there is a bit of an initial cost, I guess you could say there, but as long as they don't get wrecked, which I can't see why they would, they're going to be reusable for many, many more times. So yeah, for $24 you get a dozen, so that's $2 for the whole kind of setup. Obviously on top of that, you'd still need your I think you pretty much have to have a breakaway with that system. I don't know that you can make a loop without the breakaway, but which kind of sucks. But yeah, so you'd have to get the breakaway still, and I think pretty much with those Seneca kill springs, you also have to run cam locks, so which I don't have, but I'd have to look into that. Anyway, I'm thinking about possibly maybe making up a dozen snares with that setup, and then running them next year at maybe one location, and then that way I'd be able to see how exactly they perform compared to all my other snares. Everybody that I've talked to that does run them, obviously they say that they're hands down like 90-95% of the time the coyote is dead when you get there. So it might be something that I might look into a little bit more. And if anybody's looking at fur harvesters, it says $6.99 each for the triggers, but I was talking to Ken today from Fur Harvesters, and he was saying that is not true. It is $6.99 for a dozen of the triggers. So don't be too alarmed with that. Because when I first seen that, I thought, holy crap! $6 or $7 per trigger. All of a sudden, you need $7 trigger for one snare. Like all of a sudden, the snare is going to be like $20. So, but that wasn't the case. So, not a whole lot of chat going on tonight. Everybody's staying to themselves. Oh well. So we got about just over a month of trapping left here, all of February for sure, and then we'll have to see what the weather's like in March as to whether or not we hold out for any of the March trapping. How late does everybody usually trap? Leave their snares and that out for coyotes? And well, I mean, most people start trapping beaver and that in the spring too, once the ice thaws out. Anyway, like I said, she's going to be a quick one tonight. That's all the kind of the points that I had to go over. So unless anybody has something to bring up there in the chat, we're going to be probably shutting her down here pretty soon. Just the way the cookie crumbles. We've been working a little bit in the syrup bushes around here, getting ready for syrup season. Guys will be looking at tapping in another month. So anyway, guys, that's going to do her for tonight's chat. I'm not exactly sure when we'll get a chance to get back on here. But anyway, we'll be back on sometime next week, I'd imagine. So till next time, guys. Ciao.